We're born with all the answers, and then we get to a point in our life where we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back to that, trying to find those very answers. So if you live to an old age, you start to understand what you already knew before you were taught otherwise, before you unlearn that, or when somebody thought they was teaching you any better, you know. The older I get, the more I start to tap into that information. I start to tap into all these arbitrary goals we set for ourselves. I start to understand more and more how we live for the validation of others, the approval of others. But then we want the approval from people who also seek the approval from others, who can't even approve of themselves. So where am I getting at with all this? Because I say that we're born with all the answers. Well, what is the answer? The answer, in many regards, is to be, is to observe, is to not care about what others may think. See, that's some of the things that we're born with. Now, I understand that, as we come into this life, and even as we get towards the end of our life for some of us, we need people to take care of us, to wipe our ass and things like that. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm not saying that you should go looking to spend the rest of your life looking for somebody to wipe your ass, to clean up after you. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that we need to understand that seeking the approval of others, worrying about what's going on around us as far as what people may think about us, is stunting our growth. You know what I'm saying? If you fall short of putting harm into this world, you have no reason to worry about what others may think of you. You know, there are a lot of people in the arts, in the past and now and will be in the future, who care too much about how it will be received. But that's not even why we get into this. We get in this we get into this for expressions, for emotional expressions. It's an outlet. You know what I'm saying? Yes, people will mock you for anything, bruh. I mean, for anything. Pick a masterpiece and somebody will have something bad to say about it. Like, I don't know, everybody is flocking towards Hamilton, the play, and it's on Disney Plus now. I have something bad to say about it. You know what I'm saying? So you can't please the world. You can't, if you spend your time worrying about what other people may think, you won't get anything done. Anything that you want to get done. So you have to understand why you do these things in the first place. But yeah, we are taught to care about what others may think, and it's just such a sad thing. And interesting enough, because I have a daughter, 2 years old, who she's got the right idea right now, and it's my job to make sure that I don't mess that up. But what I find that I probably will be doing is, just kind of teaching her to unlearn the things that other people will be teaching her. I can't keep her under me all the time, so it's probably bound to happen. But as I'm raising her, I want her to teach. I want to teach her to trust herself. So I want to put her in a position very early on to make her own decisions. This doesn't mean that I'm gonna be an absentee parent, but I want to instill that in her, that that she has the final say. I'm not always gonna be around, you know. So we can't just keep spoon feeding these children their whole lives, and then when they become 18, we say, okay, take all this false information that you've been given and go. Just throw them to the wolves, and that's why so many of us just be so unhappy. We be so unhappy, bruh. And in our late teens and through our 20s and 30s and 40s, we be so unhappy, don't even know why. It's because we carry so much information that was never really meant for us. It was meant to keep us small. That's it. Seriously. And sometimes when I talk about this, when I talk about things like this, I almost just don't want to say anything. It's because I think that everybody internalizes this, but that's just not the case. That's just not the case. No, we still very much live in a society where people expect you to live up to anxiety's anxiety, society's standards. Very much so. Now, I gotta admit, I have an upper hand because I've kind of been this way my whole life. I've always been like a rebel. I didn't always have a cause, but I never got the rebel nature out of me. You know what I'm saying? It's just I always had a problem with authority. I always had a problem with people telling me what to do, and I mean that's the case now. And hopefully, what it turns out to is a lifetime of making my own rules, working my own schedule, and teaching others how to be a great leader. And being, by the way, and being a great leader isn't about making your own rules and going off your own schedule. Yeah, sure, it's a part of it, but it's also showing other people how they ought to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Showing other people that they have a right to demand better treatment. You know what I'm saying? It's the reason why a lot of people hate their jobs, because some people have it in their mind that just because they're the manager and get paid 50 cents more per hour, that they ought to be a dick, that they ought to be offensive, that they ought to be rude. And so people have it wrong, pumping out your chest thinking you better than everybody, but now you're like a fool because nobody has anything to do with you. People clown you in the groups that you're not invited to because you think you're better than everybody, but that's just not the way to go. All right, but the way to go is well, I mean, not to, because I'm not saying what I'm about to say is not the opposite of this, but of that. But the way to go ultimately is that you have the final say. Don't let others teach you their bad habits, their way of conforming, because at the end of the day, that's not going to make you happy. All right, you have all the capabilities, all the tools right under your nose to make yourself happy, or joyful, grateful, whatever it is. Because I'm still dealing with this debate in my mind if happiness is a real thing. If happiness is a lifelong thing. I think it's a very fleeting thing. But there's some other things that are more so sustainable. But that's a different conversation. I just chalk it all up to joy. Joy. You know what I'm saying? To have a joyful lifestyle. And you know, following the path, like the paths of others, it leaves clues, but I don't think you're truly going to get there until you make a decision. Until you make a decision to live a life on your own terms. All right, to add your own flavor to life, man. And it doesn't mean that you don't have the fear. It doesn't mean that you don't, have the apprehension. You do all these things in spite of it, and then you grow. You'd be surprised how many people you see as brave who are actually pretty, afraid, but they do it in spite of it. But here's the thing: how can you be brave if you aren't afraid of anything? That's not bravery, you know. That's a walk in the park. True bravery is standing up to the things that you're afraid of, and that's what it is. So, and just like the baby knows no better. So the baby makes all types of mistakes and puts everybody else's heart at risk, but the baby's just living. And so if I were to say to you to you should do that, you would say, are you crazy? That type of recklessness could get us killed. But we practice it in many ways, though. We really do. Hey, do you drive? You know what I'm saying? Like the driving is a very dangerous activity. It really is. And still, we put a lot on the back burners when we just get in the car and drive. You know, a lot of driving is the now obviously if you are a good driver, I'm using quotations if you can't see, you know, you kind of yield to other people, not necessarily when it's called for and things like that. But you know, all in all, driving is a very risky thing. I mean, you getting on the road not knowing what the other people are capable of, what the other people are doing. You never know if you're going to make it back. But you don't think about that. You drive in spite of it. You go a little bit over the speed limit. You may be multitasking. You may take your eyes off the road for a little bit. You know, we do these things without thinking about it, and I think that you know life should be like that. You shouldn't spend your life worrying about, am I going to die today and think. I mean, of course, make great decisions, but the reason why I say this is so you can understand that you know that seeing as this life is very unpredictable, you know, you have to throw your own bit of unpredictability at it by doing things that society wouldn't call on you to do. You do the things that you call on yourself to do, the things that you feel called to the plate to do, and you do it now. And you don't wait for this esoteric future to come that never comes. By the way, do a little something now, whatever you can, whatever you enjoy. Hop right into it, and that's all I gotta say. Ran over.